I know every operating
At my
system like
last
the
job,
back of
in
my
my current
hand.
role,
I
I
have
25 years of experience and have worked with several people from your company. I've been recognized for my passion. My team is everything.
LinkedIn delivers candidates who rise above the rest. With an up-to-date view into shared connections, skills, and interests you won't find anywhere else. See why 86% of small businesses who post a job on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within a day. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/achieve. LinkedIn, your next great hire is here.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
What's going on, everyone? Thank you very much for participating in yet another Dr. Homebrew. Yeah, it's true. If you keep listening to the show, we keep making more of them. So if you don't want to participate in our lifestyle, then just stop listening. But you can't, because it's too good. It's the best beer podcast in the entire universe, and everybody knows it's true, but no one wants to admit it, and that's very frustrating to me. You know what I mean? Every year we get shut out of the podcast awards. Are there podcast awards still? That was like a thing for a hot minute where
probably are.
There were like 2 or 3 podcast awards, and now I just don't hear about them anymore. I think people realize that podcasting isn't like an award generating industry. I think, you know what I mean? Like no one really cares.
Nobody has iPods anymore.
Yeah, maybe it's that. I don't know. It's very fascinating to me where, I mean, I guess you can't even maybe leverage an award in a podcast, arena. It's like, who cares if you're an awarded podcast or not, but because you can't do commercials like TV or movies are everywhere, right? Oh yeah, we won 15 Emmys. Like, I don't think anybody would care if a movie won an Emmy if you didn't, broadcast it. So,
right.
I don't know what I'm talking about, but anyway, we are here. It is the Barley Wine Show. We're going to be talking barley wines. We're going to be drinking 2 barley wines. These barley wines are 10 years apart, if my math stands. And to help us do that, we have a very famous man, completely handsome, and everyone loves him, Mr. David Teckam, on the line here to talk to us about barley wine and to help us drink these beers, because apparently what Sierra Nevada does is rent out a fridge space in his garage, so he can specifically just do verticals whenever he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true, David? You can be honest with us here.
They've got the underneath of my house.
Okay.
Sometimes I migrate to the refrigerators. They're hanging around.
Hell yeah. Well, for those of you who don't know, David Teckam is like a Grandmaster a million. Like Cooper and Shar, you guys are what, Grandmaster 3 or something like that?
He's the he's like Yoda, and we're just like, whiny Luke Skywalker in the early days.
But I don't want to fill a judging form out. Why do I have to comment on appearance?
These aren't the meads you're looking for.
No, but you guys are like 3, right?
I'm Grandmaster 2.
Grandmaster 2. See, I was giving you too much credit. And Teckam, you're 8?
Yeah. Keep going. Yep.
he grades a lot.
Something to do.
He grades a lot.
Are you going? That's a ton of work, man. Are you? You ever see a point in your life where you're like, yeah, I don't really. Are you chasing the next level, or are you just doing the work and then suddenly people give you another number and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I just earned this?
Nah, I just keep having fun.
Yeah, good. I think that's the way to go.
Dave's a natural educator, and he taught me how to judge, and
me too.
Gave me the can-do spirit. Like, you can do this. I was like, what's this judging thing about? You can do this. Here's a syllabus. I teach the classes. We could come down and help your group get your club get a class started.
That's
let's do that.
The annoyingly sweet thing about, we're going to talk about Dave like he's not here, because he gave a class at Moorbeer, the class that I took, and it was like, oh, this is like, it somehow made sense to me the way he would present information, and like, I don't get it isn't in the vocabulary in a class of his. It's just like, well, let's just talk about it till you get it, idiot.
You drank the Kool-Aid, and then even though he stole your wife, and oh wait, no, he still joined his cult and moved
Look,
on.
we were going to talk about my personal life.
Read all of his books.
Yeah.
No, okay, that was a different podcast. Sorry.
Yeah. So it is interesting to I think a lot of people do think of beer judging as this great knowledge barrier where it's hard to do and you need sort of a baseline, knowledge. And I don't think that's true. David, maybe you can correct me on that, but I think it is very much the first thing you got to do is have a positive attitude to I can learn this. It's approachable.
It's a skill worth learning.
Yeah.
Unless you're not into beer, unless you don't make beer,
Yeah. Or if you don't want to ruin a casual drinking for yourself.
I don't think that it does that.
It did for me. Absolutely.
Well, you did it wrong.
But that's my personality. That is
100% dark path.
That's my personality. Absolutely. I can't listen to podcasts because I do one. And you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Once I learn a thing, then I know how wrong everybody else is doing it. But, if you're a well-balanced individual, be a beer judge, man.
I got to teach a class on Sunday. The Bay Area Mashers asked me to come back again, and
nice.
Last year they had a good group of people, 11 or so people, and they got a judging exam going. This time they had 9 members in there, including their president, who isn't yet a judge. And
that's great.
It was on our 2 episodes ago. Steve. So yeah, it was fun to go there and do what Dave Teckam did for me years ago and teach me how to teach these people, hey, this is not that hard. And the thing I like to beat in is about completeness on a score sheet. Here's how you fill out this is one of the easiest things to control, how to completely fill out a score sheet. Look at all those cues you have there and do a good job, which really impresses the graders. And it's 20% of the battle, but it feels like 80% of the battle in some ways. You can do that. You can do the rest. Just use
the first battle felt like 20%, but the second battle felt more like 30%.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David. You want to say something?
But it leads to great opportunities because Brian knows what else I do, and you guys probably do too. We have something called the California State Fair, and they have beer competitions. I get to run them. Get to help run them. And that leaves the opportunities of being taken care of. And for those that are so interested, you figure that maybe anybody listening to the podcast would be in on the state fair interest.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for the Homebrew. It's not on the BJSB calendar yet either. We're trying to get it there. And we do need some entries. We'll take them.
Interesting.
How do we enter? How do we do that?
How do you enter?
Yeah.
Well, I would take a look at the California State Fair website once they update it to 2025.
Okay.
We're very close.
All right.
Now there's also a commercial competition. Those are fun to judge because the professional brewers don't need to have that kind of feedback. They just kind of want to win. So there you are judging commercial beers and you're picking the winners for the state of California. That is May 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. Yes, Thursday through Sunday to hack through. We expect over 1,000 entries for commercial.
Wow.
We would like more than just 300 for Homebrew, but we've done more.
Yeah.
This is probably the biggest competition in California then?
Almost. See, since you brought it up,
getting there.
There's another commercial competition I'm part of running also called the Brewers Cup of California. They've had different names. And that's April 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Well, there's another 4-day competition. And they get over 1,000 entries also.
God.
Cool.
That's
wow. David's a glutton for punishment, isn't he? Yeah.
Well,
wrangling
we'll
entries.
Drink every drop of it too. Now as commercial entries are charged more than homebrew. Homebrew competitions can be like $15. Well, commercial at $50 or $60 or $70. We're not talking Great American Beer Festival that charges you $200 per entry. Well, there's money to be used for taking care of our judges with great lunches.
Yeah.
We put up people in hotels if you're going to be there over one calendar day. And I get taken care of by being part of this little staff.
That's awesome.
That's part of the rewards for moving up the scale for beer judging, developing that reputation. Yes, they seek me out. They found me years ago, and it's like I've been with them for 10 years or so.
Wow.
State fair, maybe a little bit less, but
Yeah.
I think I might have a permanent job with that.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
3 weekends a
That's
year.
pretty cool.
Congrats, man. Do you have
Can't
to be
complain.
a certain judging level to participate in that?
We'll take any BJCP judge. I take the people also who just got done with that entrance exam. Oh, but I don't have my credentials. No, come along. I'll let you judge.
And you know
Nice.
what? If you're a judge like that, you're going to learn a lot from Dave. You're going to learn a lot from your fellow judges. You'll learn a lot just from judging that competition. So even if you're brand new, I encourage you to look into that and think about signing up.
Dave is like the uncle on the farm that you go stay with for the summer and you're 14 and he goes, I'll let you drive the truck, but only on the property. Like, I'll still let you, but dad won't let me do it. Uncle Dave, dad won't let me. I'll let you drive. It's fine. I got you. Just
After
show
this,
up.
we're going out shooting. Let's go.
Does that mean I let him have beer also?
Maybe just a half pint,
If you're old enough to drive, right?
Here and there.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, how about this for the very highest ranking judges to be in that commercial best of show panel to try all of the first place entries to find that top beer, and you're sitting down and you're going to take an hour and a half or so, and you've got 70 beers in front of you that are all first place commercial entries, and you're helping to choose the best of the beers. That should be a reward in itself.
Yeah, that's pretty
I got
amazing.
people that do that.
There is the judging marathon is no joke. It's one of the things that you are never prepared for until you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Brian
told us about the
GABF.
one in the GABF.
GABF is a lot of fun, but yeah, it's great. It's a great experience. I'd recommend it to anybody. But it is serious, and you're at it for like 3 solid days, and that's about all you do for 3 days.
Yeah, that's wild, man. All right, well, what are we doing here today, Coop? Let's start the show, huh?
Well, I have a catalog of Sierra Nevada beers, Bigfoot ales that I get. David gets for me every year. So around the time when we do our beer judging 101 class in Pleasanton during SF Beer Week, it's around the time when Sierra Nevada Bigfoot is coming out. Right around this time of year. I haven't seen it yet in stores, but
It's in the stores.
Is it already?
Would you believe
okay.
that?
Wow. Okay.
Even late December, I was told too that's in the stores. So
okay.
Good thing Brian knows me because I'll get them at a little bit better price.
Yeah. They used to sell it by the 6-pack for $10, and now it's like a 4-pack for $12.99.
It's a 4-pack now. Interesting. Okay.
More 15, but inflation.
Sure, man. Yeah.
But yeah, I get my case and I save it. So I just we need a beer. Let's dig something out of my cases. I was looking at I have a flight lined up of about 14 of them that I brought to NCHF beer camp, but we didn't end up doing there. So I just brought it back. So it's been in my, out there in my garage for a while and just kind of sitting there waiting to be used. I'm like, okay. I actually had 2 of the 2014 in there. I'm like, well, perfect. And I hadn't opened my 2024 case yet from last year. I just hold on to it. I don't drink the new barley wine very often, but it's nice when it's new sometimes. Yeah. But I cracked that case and brought out you guys got the first 2 bottles from my case of 2024 Bigfoot.
I love this.
Oh, nice.
And then I went out and dug myself out another 2014 last night, put it in my fridge. So it's
you're ready for it.
Yes, I'm ready for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, that sounds good.
I was going to say, I don't feel like crawling underneath my house to find 2014, but I show you guys a picture of 10 different years I have in the refrigerator right now.
Okay.
I just got to wait for some people to come over that are willing to put up with 10 years or so amongst doing other things here in the man cave.
Well, they'll just have to ask you why the 2014 is missing if you go grab that right now.
Right. Like, it's fine.
It's under the house. It's like, I worked hard, and it's like I'm too tired. I might crack open this 2024 and take a sip with you, and then cap it back up, though. But
okay,
twist my arm.
I'll tell you what. Let's take a break. We're going to come back, and we'll bust into these beers, and we'll start talking some barley wine. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, thanks for sticking around, everyone. Okay, so we're doing this, pour them both at the same time, I suppose, in different glasses, I would guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to wait about 15 more minutes, though. They're not warm enough yet.
Well, what are we going to talk about then? I feel like...
I don't know. The conversation was developing nicely, I thought.
It's true. Man, I'll tell you what, one thing about Sierra Nevada is they are very, very specific. There's a few breweries that you can sort of just tell by the nose. Lagunitas is one of them. Sierra Nevada is another one where I just crack the beer and I'm like, oh, that smells like Sierra Nevada. It smells like a Sierra Nevada beer. And I love that. I don't know. I find that very comforting somehow. All right, so I cracked the 2014. I got a 2024. Now I've told this story before, where when we did a vertical at Sierra Nevada, my favorite year was 7 years old. The age on the bottle, because anything before was too aggressive. Yeah. Anything after just kind of wasn't there anymore. It wasn't worth it for me. But seven years to me, perfect. The sweet spot. That was it. And I felt pretty good because, a couple people agreed with me. I was like, yeah.
Usually when we do a vertical, we'll start with the freshest. So I think the 2024 is the one to go to here and get our noses down in that.
Already, I noticed when I poured it, maybe you guys have something different. 2024 was not as carbonated as the 2014.
I'm noticing a color difference too.
Okay.
Well, and a clarity difference.
Yeah, the 2014 is a little more clear, a little brighter, a little more copper colored.
Are you sure you got the right one? My 2014 is a little hazier and darker and less
That's typical also. As they're getting older, it's like, I think this darker as it oxidizes, but also it doesn't hold up that clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're about ready to pour, if you haven't already, what kind of glassware are you guys using for barley wine tasting?
Oh, I'm just using like this little mini Nonic, like from the Winter Brews Fest like 10 years ago, because it's available.
Straight wall shaker. No, I got this. It's kind of like flared low ball glass.
JP's got the better glass. I should have.
Maybe
JP wins. Mine.
Eagle Rock 8 anniversary collection. What is that? Say Sam Smith. Is that a Samuel Adams snifter? There you go.
I love these little snifters. Those are great for strong beers.
Yeah.
Well, particularly barley wines. They're going to hold in the aroma better. And you can usually put something nice and clean on top as you try other beers, and then go back to it without losing quite as much aroma.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That makes sense.
I have a nice snifter collection.
If you ever get around Chico, if anybody's listening, get up to Sierra Nevada. Oftentimes, especially around Bigfoot season, they'll have verticals on sale. So you can get a 6-pack, one of each different year. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. I don't know. It's a good thing to do. So, Dave, what are you drinking? You drinking the 2014?
I don't have that one available. It's under the house.
24.
Somewhere.
Sorry. 24.
I will drink the 2024.
All right.
24. All right. Here we go.
All right,
These
Coop.
tend to be very clear.
Yeah.
If they've been sitting upright. After a few years, you're going to notice some haziness, and sometimes there's sediment, and sometimes they don't look quite as good. One of the fun things, too, when I do the vertical tastings, I've been part of quite a few of them, we always ask the other person, so what was your favorite? Now, Jason was mentioning that his favorites, about 7 years, they seem to peak.
Yeah.
Well, that's when they peak for him. For a lot of other people, I find so many people like 5 years is about right for them.
5. Okay. Yeah. 5. See, for me, I wonder if it falls with just kind of your general approach to beer. Like, I don't really like a super bitter beer. I like a more smooth, softer beer. So, that's what appeals to me most about a barley wine. I want a little bit of punch with a barley wine. Like, I want some value for the alcohol and calories I'm consuming. But I want it to be more balanced than American barley wine, I think, tend to be.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I tend to insist, but hey, everybody's different. Wait at least a couple of years before you open that Bigfoot barley wine that you purchased. Of course, we want to try them when they're fresh so we can compare.
Mhm.
But this is the fun thing too about vertical tastings, and they don't have to hit every year. But just imagine 2024, 2023, 2022, and maybe skip a year. It's like you might have something that's really old also. I've got a 2009 sitting in there.
Oh,
And then
wow.
there's something that I showed earlier. We'll explain that one later.
Yes. Yeah. I want to talk about that one for sure.
Okay. They do diminish, but one of the reasons why the vertical tastings work so well for Bigfoot, however many years you want to do, 10, 20, whatever, it's a great brewery. They're consistent. They don't have problems.
Right.
Yeah, that one did finally turn bad. No, they age to the point of being a little bit over the hill, or it's like, yeah, it's beyond its prime, but it's still tasty.
Yeah.
So neat that they're supposed to be the same recipe, so it should be the same beer. Things change over time.
Judy shared a 1995 with me the last time I was at Judy Ashworth's house.
Wow.
We had a party there. There's the 1995 right there.
We can't. I mean, on the podcast, we can't really see it.
It's
Sierra Nevada is consistent in packaging, and even when they change from the screw top to vice versa or back, they always do that to do the best packaging they can possibly do. And I totally agree with Dave that you're getting a much better year-to-year comparison with Sierra Nevada than you would with probably a lot of other breweries. And there's going to be variations in, like, Celebration is the same recipe every year, but it does vary because it's made with agricultural products, and the hops vary, and malt can vary, so there can be variances. But you're not getting variances because some guy screwed up a batch. You're not getting weirdness. You're getting it's going to be consistent in whatever it is, and that really makes it great for verticals. I couldn't agree more.
So drinking these two beers is definitely like drinking two completely different beer styles in a lot of ways. If you ever do a 10-year barley wine separation, it's the new one. The 2024. It smells so hoppy, citrusy, bright. You can smell the alcohol. There's a little sharpness to it, but it's just a smooth little alcohol punch to the nose. But it's only a 9% beer. They don't dial this one up to 11 or anything. It's 9.6, and at least for the 2014, 9.6 is the common strength.
It seems to be the same every year. They claim 9.6 without deviation.
And and these days it's funny because you can get double IPAs have worked their way up to 9 and 9 point something percent. And it's like style creep has brought them to the point of barley wine strength. It's just so funny to me where I think twice before opening one of these. It's like, am I gonna be able to drink that? But I'll order a 8%, 8.5% double IPA and drink a pint of that without thinking too much. And it's
drive home with no seatbelt on.
Hello.
Yeah, it's the name. It's barley wine. You taste it. You hear that. You're like, oh, let's strap in, brothers.
Respect. And this
is why they're meant for sharing.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like opening one by myself. I should be sharing with somebody.
Yeah. Especially this thing, man.
You're gonna share with your future self. Tomorrow you'll drink the other half.
Yeah.
The Sierra Nevada ones too are it's very American barley wine. So it's very hoppy, very bitter, very aggressive. I don't know that you can drink a pint of this.
Very citrusy.
Citrusy, piney,
malty, but it's not boozy. The 2024 is very smooth, and it's already smoothed out from what you taste. The fresh ones, we break those out every year at our we break them out and taste them when they come out fresh, and it's a different experience. It is almost IPA like compared to this 1-year-old barley wine. Although it does still have the sweetness of the barley wine, which is complementing the hops in a nice way, and I can appreciate the balance of a fresh barley wine. Personally, I like hops, and it just there's so much malt to balance the hops.
Yes, it is. You're right. It is a different experience. It's a fun experience. But could you sit here and drink this whole bottle by yourself? I'm curious. No judgment. I'm curious.
It's a sipper for sure.
Yeah. I could drink the whole thing myself.
You could? I couldn't do it. Yeah. I couldn't do it. It's too much. It's too exciting for me.
it would be over the course of a couple of hours. I could do it, but yeah.
I think I'm more of a fan of the aroma.
The aroma is really nice. Yeah.
It smells amazing. Like, give me this
The
in a
aroma
candle.
is actually a little similar in both of them, but the older one, as you would expect, is much more malt focused. And
Okay.
it's not an old ale, but it almost makes me feel like it's an old ale.
Okay.
Are
Now
we
we've gone to the old one. You tasted the old one.
Let's move to the old one. This is 2014.
2014.
Teckam is showing us recapping his 2024 Bigfoot.
Okay, got it. Got it. Oh, I didn't purge out the oxygen. I guess it will oxidize a little bit, hopefully for the better. I'm not going to wait 2 months to drink this, of course.
Right.
I'll finish it this weekend or something. There's a little bit of carbonation. I'm going to be a good boy tonight. All right.
It'll be like a 2020 in a month.
This, I don't know why that just literally cracks me up. Like that whole thing where this man pulls out a bench capper and sets it down and tilts his camera to it so we can see him cap the. I love that.
I love Dave so
Everything
much.
about that is just fucking awesome. It's like peak homebrew. Like
Really
I've lived at this this transcendental experience for 15 years now as a peak elite homebrewer. This is what happens. This could be your future, boys and girls.
It could be.
You could be as cool as Dave if you try, but you'd have to try pretty hard.
Because like I don't know, man. I would never. I don't know. I would never think to. And I guess that's what you get when you just been judging beer for so long. It's like you sort of like understand what matters and what doesn't. Maybe Dave, this is wrong, but like you understand. Like for me right now, I'd be like, I don't know. You recapped it for a couple days. It's gonna suck. But I think you understand that like what matters and what doesn't, what impacts the flavor to a point where it's not enjoyable or it doesn't even matter so much. Like, yeah, okay, it's not going to be the same. Who cares? It's still going to be really good. I'm still going to drink it. I'm still going to have fun.
I was sanitary. Honest, I was sanitary.
Yeah.
If it was an American Pale Ale and you did the same capping and everything else, it would be a different experience in a few days. It wouldn't.
Oh, losing the carbonation hurts.
Wouldn't do it any favors.
But losing carbonation for a barley wine doesn't hurt it. You got the body and the fullness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a style
It'll still be feeling enough.
It doesn't need a lot of carbonate. If you over carbonate this beer, then it'd be fighting with the alcohol, fighting with the hops and everything else that's there. And
that's what I mean. It's like an experienced chef not measuring things. You're like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Who cares? You know, I know what it's going to be. It's anyway. All right, 2014. Let's talk about this real fast.
Right. And the category for everybody listening is 22C, American barley wine. And the description does try to encompass the range of flavors and ages that you can get, which is a good thing. So, you know, many, you know, for a lot of breweries in the U.S. used to make barley wines, and you know. But in the old days, like Anchor Old Fog and Sierra Nevada Bigfoot, they were the only ones you could get.
I haven't had the Anchor one to forever.
Yeah. But then, you know, Lagunitas made their gnarly wine. I don't know if they even still make that, but maybe they do.
Yeah. Do people make, there's barley wines have sort of just declined.
It seems like, they've gone.
Which is too bad.
A little, like, not necessarily just out of favor, but it's just like kind of, okay.
I think you're right. I think it's out of favor with the
general.
I mean, a triple IPA, like a Pliny the Younger, has replaced barley wine because in the same way that IPA has consumed so much of the craft beer world, you know, people want more of they want more bigger IPA rather than a big malty barley wine. And that's unfortunate, but that seems to be what the consumer wants overall.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they think they want. That's not true. But I mean, I think, you know, I don't know, but I guess we can, there's probably books to be written about consumer choice in the beer world and how it affects the styles that are being produced. But I think barley wine is looked at as too old school of a style to be cool anymore. But I think it could be cool. You know what? I'm going to say within the next 5 years, we're going to see a resurgence of barley wine. That's my thing.
I can see that. I can see that.
We already have it with pale ale. Definitely have it with lager. And I think that pendulum is going to swing, but I think we're still going to be rooted in kind of classic styles because there's only so far you can push a hazy fucking beer. You know what I mean? That's it.
I can
Where else
see
you
like
gonna go?
millennials and Gen Zers that never really experienced barley wine in the way that we did 30 years ago.
Yeah.
When does barley wine kind of hit
It's
30 years
ubiquitous.
ago?
Yeah,
We
dude.
had the
Yeah.
barley wine festival, for God's sake. The
Yeah.
millennials and Gen Zers that never had that are going to have like a Bigfoot and think, wow, how come people aren't making more of this? Not
Yeah,
everyone, but a few.
We're going to see TikToks about why is no one talking about this? The one beer style that your dad was right about.
Actually, interesting. Yeah.
Now
All right,
consider too that
Yeah.
Sierra Nevada makes theirs only once a year.
Yeah.
One time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's just one batch a year, but this is not a year-round beer anyway. This is
Right.
that winter warmer, that celebration beer of sorts,
Yeah.
that Christmas specialty, and that's when they were being made. Even in the 1950s, I think it may have been Valentine. They made a barley wine for their special customers or whatever. They're Christmas gifts in their own way. Okay, we're
Yeah.
not drinking in the summer anyway, so maybe that's part of what's limiting the two. Hey, it's like May, June, July, August. Like, okay, we're in California. We're not drinking barley wines. Want to sip one at night or whatever too, but it's not going to be your hey, every weekend you're going to try one or every other weekend. It's a winter beer.
Yeah.
It's a winter beer.
Well, and it's winter right now. So yeah, it's just so interesting moving from the fresh, year-old fresh, but it's like hoppy and alcoholic, smooth alcohol and malty. And then you get into the 2014 and I'm getting sherry. I'm getting like hints of different kinds of like booze or like, there's a sharp fruitiness that comes out from the malt, and the hops have receded a lot. The hops are still there.
Cherry, like a candied cherry or cherry cordial for sure. Absolutely, I get that. Yeah.
There's a sweet fruitiness to it that is absolutely stands out compared to the fresh one, where you don't have that. You see the hints of it. You see the maltiness is rich and it's strong, but it's the flavors are melding and the hops have receded quite a lot. The hop aroma has declined to the point where you just get a hint of some citrusy quality in there, but it's not as bright and sharp. And in a way, I think that's part of what Sierra Nevada did in the early days when they first brewed this beer in 1983. They kind of set the standard for hop forward barley wines that became the kind of standard. And there's a little story in the guidelines, you can read it too, about how they sent the Bigfoot out for lab analysis, and the lab said their barley wine was too bitter, and then Sierra Nevada replied, "Thank you." Funny little tidbit in there. But Anchor Old Fog had been made since '75, so this is like 8 years later. And David's got the book there of the barley wine.
I saw my message for those that want to read more, and I gotta admit, it's like, isn't there a book called Barley Wine from Brewer's Publication?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me go race in my library way quick, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess there is. I sure hope I see stuff underlined, so I must have read it at some point, probably decades ago.
Yeah.
Hey. Oh, great. David, for awesome, brew it big, FAZ. Oh, Alan, up. I have this autographed, and I don't know who autographed it. This is cool, I guess.
That's the best, man. That's how you know it was a good time getting autographed.
Oh.
It was some guy that was pretty cool, probably.
Yeah.
Maybe. Somebody was
I'm sure he
important.
was.
That is a good book. Yeah,
they barley wines.
Brewers Publications had this, like, every style had their own book, and they were all done really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Val Allen and Dick Cantwell. Huh?
There's good reading out there for those that want to learn more, or that need to relearn, or need to
That's right.
remember things. I got to read this again.
Because you're never going to get this from this podcast, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Well, when it gets into stuff like history, the history of barley wine, well, that could be the most worth reading as far as like, well, how did things begin? A wine made of barley, or just a beer of wine-like strength? Well, they can be. Oh, I'll read it again later. No time to do research now. Okay.
Yeah. So,
it's there.
David, what do you think this 2014 tastes like? What can you expect from a 10-year-old barley wine?
All right. Although it's been a while since I had a 2014 or 13 or 12 or whatever too, I know it's going to be probably a little bit less on the carbonation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. They might appear a little bit darker, and it's going to be a lot smoother to the point of, oh, gee, I'm missing those hops that I really appreciate about the beer. There's going to be much more of a closer to equal balance, especially after 10 years. And it could take even longer for it to be even a bit more malt oriented. We expect some oxidation, but oxidation of a sherry-like quality, and that's the oxidation of melanoidins. Not a defect, because there's always going to be some oxygen works its way in, especially when you keep it at room or cellar temperature. And that can be a nice extra dimension to barley wines. Barley wines that are well made anyway.
Mm.
Yeah.
That
I definitely get
ticks
sherry
the boxes.
Yeah.
We were talking about like cherry cordial or this cherry like liqueur chocolates, but not the chocolate so much. But like
cooking sherry, the wine like aspect of it. It's a barley wine.
No, you say cooking sherry, and I would even just push to sherry.
Yeah.
Not even just the cheaper,
like
versions.
Nice sherry. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's because it does have that fortified, kind of flavor, I guess. Not that it's fortified, but it has that aged, obviously, quality to it.
And sherry, I mean, who goes out and buys fancy sherry anymore either? Like,
You know what? Sherry is, I'll tell you, sherry is making a comeback.
Okay.
It is making a comeback. My brother-in-law has a sherry. He makes sherry now. I mean, see, what the fuck is it called? I forget now. I'll figure it out.
Mm.
Anyway, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. Continue.
Yeah.
Continue talking.
I think I bought some cooking sherry one time just to use for dosing beers for our beer judging education, where you could put sherry in like a light American lager to get sherry-like flavor in a beer to understand that flavor.
Yeah.
And it's, all kinds of weird stuff we educational types do. David has done education for the, especially around the Sacramento region, but also the Bay Area.
Yeah.
For decades, and a regular presence at all the beer events, such as Northern California Homebrewers Festival, and that's where I met him. And the story started there for my beer judging career. So I have David to thank. And shortly after that, I started collecting barley wines as he does. So I've got some back in. So a few bottles left back into the 2 decades ago, the aughts, and then a lot in the teens, and all the fresh stuff. Okay, so this is just a little piece of my collection that I shared with you guys, and
well, I appreciate it, man.
I'm tasting it with you.
So do I. Thank you so much, Coop.
Yeah, it's so. Are we gonna do? Before we take a break, are we gonna do the classic Cooper blend?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Let's blend
Look
it
at what
together.
David's got there. Oh my god.
Yeah, David's going to tell us the story after the break. We're going to come back and wrap up with the story about David's 1987 barley wine. Let's do a blend. Well, actually, we'll do the blend. Let's take a break. We're going to come right back, everybody. We're going to wrap things up here on Dr. Homebrew and the Barley Wine Show. Stay tuned.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
homebrew to the ER, please? No, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
All right, thanks for sticking around, everybody. By the way, the website I was thinking of for my brother-in-law's sherry business, Solaris del Pacifico, Soleras del Pacifico. And this man went to like Spain and Portugal and tasted a bunch of sherries, and he's making sherry up in Petaluma. Small batch in his little barn or whatever. And it's I don't like sherry. I'm not a sherry guy. But it's very good if you like that. It's like very, you can taste something and you don't enjoy it, but you can tell it's done properly to style. Yeah, it was very, very good. So if you're into,
we should do a live show up there, man.
If you're into sherry, I mean, it's literally like a Solara in his, barn. It's not like,
wow.
Yeah, it's not. And, he works at a winery, he works at Bedrock Winery, and he just, uses their equipment every now and then and ferments it at home. So it wouldn't be too exciting.
So the blend is interesting because it's
blended. I did a 50-50.
Yeah, I did the 50-50, and it's like the hops come through, but they kind of get covered up by a little bit of that soft booziness from the the sherry-like and the warm maltiness.
Yeah,
but you can still really smell the hops. It doesn't smell like a 5-year-old barley wine. A 5-year-old barley wine is already going to be most of the way there towards that 10-year flavor.
It's really interesting because it's separate. Like there's so many layers now, and what
it's like it's like a graphic equalizer with the hops spiked up in one side and then the malt spiked up on the other side, and it's like.
Yeah, I think what makes a really good barley wine to age is something that when it ages, it sort of blends together and nothing really is pokey outy or whatever.
These flavors are not melded when you just
They're not melded, but
new.
They're not pokey outy either. They're just segmented. They're just layered like a fucking black and tan or something like that, where it's like you smell it and it smells different, but then you taste it and it's kind of just doesn't really have a personality anymore. It's interesting. I don't know. I find that really interesting. I wonder how much of the 2024 I have to add to replicate my perfect ideal, which is a 7-year-old barley wine.
Next time I'll get the year right. We'll do just 7.
Yeah, how dare you? I got to get back up to Sierra Nevada, man.
We'll do 7 versus 5.
Ooh, actually, I put a little bit in. Tastes good. Anyway, Teckam, let's talk about your 87 barley wine, man. You showed me that cap. I've never been jealous of a used bottle before.
All right. So how long ago was it when the Bigfoots were twist-off bottle caps? You don't need to look that up.
2012-ish.
I bet you're about right. And of course, with that,
I'm sorry, 2009. Because there was, I talked to, Ken was the keynote speaker at Oakland. I meant to say 2009. He was keynote speaker at Oakland NHC, now called Homebrew Con. And that was when they had just switched from the screw-off caps to the crimp caps. And I asked him a question about it from the audience there. If you ever, I don't find that recording, but nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't think he really. I think he was just.
I pulled out a 2009 here, and it says.
I think it was
used
rhetorical.
Bottle opener. Maybe that was the first year of the non-twist offs.
Yeah,
I think it was
the last.
But maybe? 87. So 87 was twist off, right?
Correct.
So that to me that seems like either too forward thinking to be correct or old school to be accurate. You know what I mean? Like 87, I don't think of twist offs in a beer like that.
School, and it's just they weren't thinking about the preservation too, because there's going to be carbonation loss, as in stuff leaks through. Yeah, it was dead flat on the carbonation.
Okay.
Kind of dark in color. Yes, oxidation of anything makes it get darker. So as you're doing your vertical tasting of Bigfoots, everybody out there, or at least someday, you'll notice as they get a little bit darker as they get older. Now, does this mean that we should be hanging them on for 35, 40 years? No. It's only 9.6%. Now, if we were getting up to, say, 15%, that could be different. That's just not the idea. You don't hang on to something like that forever, unless you never open it and then you sell it as a souvenir and nobody enjoyed it in its prime. But this was well past its prime. That doesn't mean it turns sour, phenolic, or nasty. No, it turned into sort of a dead beer.
Yeah.
Very malt oriented, oxidized, sherry like. Not bad. It was just okay.
When did you have this beer?
Yeah, go ahead.
When did you drink this beer, David?
A week and a half ago.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh yeah, very recent.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, what were you expecting, and did it nail that expectation?
I figured it's going to be well past its prime, and it's going to be more of an oddity than anything else.
Yeah.
And it was. It was just an oddity.
I've had the rare occasion to have like some really old wine, like 30-year-old wine. And that's exactly what I think you have to go into it as, like I said, talking to my brother-in-law who's big into wine. And he and I have these conversations every now and then where it's like, oh yeah, I've had this, 1957 or 1972 Zin from Ridge or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't taste like wine. It doesn't. It's another liquid altogether. And you have to go into it expecting something else other than whatever the style says. You know what I mean? And otherwise you're not going to enjoy it. You just aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what's this about? Wine's going to get better and better and better with age, and it can last decades. And I got some that are 30. Okay, that's going to be with a lot of tannins and other rough edges that are going to smooth out over time. Yep. It's not a wine show. For a barley wine to do that, it better be close to over the top, as in, oh man, it really wasn't that drinkable in the first 3 years or 4 years. Man, I want to hang on to it, cellar it at 55 degrees. Oh, that would be ideal, that kind of temperature. But it's going to have to be a bit over the top for it to hold up to decades. And we do mean like 13, 14, 15, 16% or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't hang on over 40 years. That's not the idea.
No.
It's just going to be an oddity, if anything else.
Yeah. And I think if you go into, sorry, Cooper, I keep cutting off, but I'm going to do it one more time. I think to collect beer and to age it, especially high alcohol beer like this, go into it thinking I'm going to produce an oddity. It's a lot like, it's not like how I went into being a parent. I'm gonna produce just some weird twisted oddity, and we'll see what happens whenever it's time to drink it. You know what I mean? Whenever it's time to harvest her organs for me, we'll figure out what happens.
You also have to have the attitude that there's going to be some spectacular successes in aging, but you're probably going to have more failures than you have successes. And even aging wine is that way. I used to, nobody in my house but me likes wine, so I don't really age or buy much wine because it's that a whole bottle of wine. I don't want to drink that by myself.
Yeah.
But even if you age wine, even if you age good wine, there's a bell curve for that, or a cliff for that. And unless you're buying a case of it to age and you're drinking one every 6 months to find out where that peak is, you can come back to it 12 years later and it's just blah and kind of too old and
false apart.
Orange colored. And you have to accept that aging anything, you're rolling the dice, you're taking your chances, and it costs a lot of money.
It's a guessing game, yeah.
Yeah.
David has a bottle of Thomas Hardy's
from 1994.
1999. Not easy to see, I know. Theirs was the same concept too and I could not find it on this particular label. I've seen on ones from the 1980s where it's like, this will age up to 25 years. How can you tell it hasn't been 25 years yet?
That to me is always good, man. Yes. Yeah, it is.
I miss Thomas Hardy. I can't even recall what that tastes like. It's been probably 25 years since I've had one.
Come over to my house
right now.
I got one sitting around.
I will give me about 90 minutes.
See you this weekend.
Yeah. Well, just go up and judge those competitions in Sacramento.
Exactly.
Yeah. Coop, do you want to plug the thing your guys are doing at the SF Beer Week again?
Yeah, we've got Beer Judging 101 coming up at Bottle Taps in Pleasanton, Sunday, February 23rd. From 12 until 2 o'clock. And you go to facebook.com/beerjudging101. That's our kind of beer judge page. I know David has a site, beerjudgeschool.com, that he runs too there. But, we we educate people in a small group and teach them to taste like a judge and elicit opinions from them. And no opinion is wrong. Some people might say the beer that we pour smells like socks, and they're not wrong. To them, it smells like socks. To us, it does not smell like socks. But we'll listen to their opinions, and then we'll guide them towards better opinions, or let their opinions stand and just say, okay, does anyone else think it smells like socks? And then we hear crickets, and then we move on. But no, it's just kind of education. David's really good at eliciting good feedback from people. It's like, what do you get in this beer? And a lot of times they'll get the key. One or two people will shout out the key elements that we expect them to get out of the beer right off the bat. And other people are like, oh yeah, yes, I get that too. Yeah. And it's just a collaborative and fun event that we've done for over 10 years now as a part of SF Beer Week. So yeah, come out and learn how to be a beer judge. And we've gotten many of our class members to go on to take the exam and do it. And others just have fun stacking cups. But we do that.
And
the other thing I was going to, David, go ahead. Sorry.
We have a pretty good percentage of people who already make beer at home too, or at least that have some knowledge, or they've done it once or something. It can be a beginning person that shows up for our mini course in any case.
Yeah.
But even the audience can kind of amaze us too with, okay, that person understands. And maybe they'd be a home brewer that wants to know a little bit more.
Yeah, none of them seem to be real beginners. It's just, if you're a craft beer fan, or you just enjoy and want to broaden your experience with different world beer styles, we'll help you on that journey and point you in the right direction. We can't do everything in 2 hours because there's only so much tasting we can fit in, but it's small samples. You get to taste a lot of different things in small quantities, and it's really fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, beer judging 101. If you live in the Bay Area, if you want to fly in for it, hey, great, from wherever you are. But no, the other thing I was going to mention is I remember David poured me a barley wine, and I believe it was a 1999 Bigfoot. That's probably 6 or 7 years ago at a restaurant. Maybe it was after some Lodi judging or something, like one of the older competitions or something, or maybe after one of our classes. I don't remember, but yeah. It was a long time ago, and that was one of the first, that's different. That's different. No carbonation, and just kind of gone. But he probably still has a full bottle of 99 barley wine somewhere in his collection.
Hell yeah!
I don't think I have anything before that 2009.
The 09.
Probably
okay.
Not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Don't need to. We're getting pretty old at that point. As I mentioned earlier, I don't think it was caught on tape, but I have an invitation from a friend of mine, Mike Moore, Solid Ground Brewery in Diamond Springs, California. I did send in my check to hold my seat for that vertical tasting of 25 years of Bigfoot.
Wow.
I'm not expecting a whole lot from the very early years. It's merely that experience, and I'll take good notes as I can. Really.
Yes, come tell us about that.
Big Mike Moore, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know he had a brewery.
He doesn't have a brewery, no. But he's friends there, and he does some of the bottling stuff too.
Okay, gotcha. No, I've been out of the loop for a while. I haven't seen Big Mike for a long time. He's a great guy.
He's around. Yeah. He's around.
I love that.
Every once in a while, he does something like that. So, hey, that's just another nice invite that I get also. Say, hey, thank you, Big Mike. You thought of me, and because I've done stuff with him, and
definitely
just on that invite list. How neat.
Love it. Yeah, you got to be on the inside, man.
Yeah,
well, that sounds cool. Yeah, Dave, definitely come back. Let us know about that tasting, what happens. I'm curious to know what a 25-year-old barley wine is. And I'll be honest, I think this has influenced me to start collecting Bigfoot.
Cool.
It's something I've always wanted to do. And I know I've heard, since I started drinking in the late 90s, I'm like, people do that? That's weird, but also kind of alluring and cool. But I just never did it. Because I knew myself well enough to know I would never take care of it. But now that I don't drink as much anymore, I got the room. Might as well start doing it.
And when you pour them, you can share it with people. Like, this is an event. Like, we're going to do 6 vintages
I don't know anybody. You know what I mean? I'm by myself. Yeah. So, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, and I don't have the room. I mean, I have the desire, but there's no space. I just can't collect beer.
Yeah. Well, a couple of years ago, my friend Al L Branch donated a collection of Anchor Christmas beers to our club to pour and share. And so we did a private tasting in the back of bottle taps. And it started in 1989 Christmas beer. That was the oldest one we got to. There were some gaps, but we had 2021 and it went to 2018 and we had 2004 and it went. Yeah.
I gotta say, I think anything after 5 years has got to be horrendous.
But it was weird. There was a definite decline.
Yeah.
And I thought this is just going to be an infinite point of diminishing returns. But after a while, there was enough interesting in the oldest ones that it was like,
okay,
oh, this is becoming a different thing, and it started kind of coming back in some way.
You could pull something out.
Do you remember Phil, who owned a Fermentation Frenzy before he sold it to More Beer in Los Altos?
Yeah.
Phil was deeply involved with Words of Wisdom, my old homebrew club. And I remember about 15, 20 years ago, he hosted a tasting, and Teckam just held up the Anchor Christmas beer before they totally changed the style of it a few years ago. It was a different spice every year. And that was one where we did like a 18-year vertical of Anchor Christmas beer. And this was probably 2010-ish. This went back into the 90s. And that was one where, because of the spices, and the spices are always, each year when Anchor used to release their Christmas beer, the spices were so strong, it was almost undrinkable.
Yep.
But there was a sweet spot about 7, 8, 9 years back for that, where it became just sublime and phenomenal. It was amazing. And that was because of the spice.
Almost like it grew it. The spices balanced the malts, and it was something interesting. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting. All right, well, let's get out of here, everybody. What do you think? We've had enough barley wine for the evening. I'm going to go drive around my neighborhood at high speeds.
Yeah, without a seatbelt, of course.
Of course, yeah. Hanging out the sunroof. But if you want to get on the show and have your homebrew on the show, maybe you brewed a barley wine. Who knows? Maybe you're the 0.01% of people who still do that these days. Email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com and you will get on this show. We will program you in. Yeah. We will dial you in. And we'll taste your beer, more importantly, and we'll give you a BJCP score sheet in real time. This is the only way you can get a virtual BJCP score sheet, an interactive BJCP score sheet. If you want to ask questions, because look, between you and me, without David listening, sometimes beer judges don't know what they're talking about. Okay.
What?
So if you want to ask questions, so if you get a sheet from Cooper or Char and it says like, could use more malt. And you go, well, what the fuck does that mean? How do I do that?
I used every malt in the book, and it
literally every single one.
More malt.
And
everyone that More Beer had available.
Yeah, and Char would say, well, you get 2-row, and then you have to kiln it yourself. And that's the only way to improve this mild that you made, you dipshit. No, we'll go through
8% Imperial mild.
Yeah, we'll go through and we'll go through all the feedback with you that we give you and explain how to do it and how to improve beer. Not just what's wrong with it, but how to make it better, how to elevate it to this sort of like, impossible ideal to reach. And that's
let's say you brewed a non-alcoholic barley wine.
Oh my god!
And you made it taste just like barley wine somehow.
First of all, we
want to taste that. That would be weird.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't do that, if you don't send us beers or something, like at the show break, JP, I suggested the Coop that we may have to start judging each other, and we'll have to engage in self-criticism and talk about each other as human beings and our failures and our flaws. And nobody wants to hear that shit. We want to drink. People want to hear us talk about beer and fermented beverages, sake, wine, mead, cider. They don't want to hear about all of how we came to be who we are. That's nonsense.
Deep psyche.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Hello.
Yeah. You're threatening our listenership now.
Yes, that's absolutely. All right, everybody, let's get out of here. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you later. Dave, thanks for hanging out, man. It was a good time.
Thanks for having me.
Dave.
Good to talk to you again. Good to see you. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll see you later.
Okay.
All right, that's it. We're done.